Hey, it's very common to not feel in love with your partner all the time when you're in your relationship, to be questioning the relationship, to feel done with your partner, to feel done with the marriage, wondering if you should take space, wondering if you should separate, wondering if this is the right relationship for you, not being happy. All of this is normal. Whether you are in that state now or you're in a long-term relationship, you will be able to relate at some point. And I think that this is just a part of being in long-term relationships. So how can we fall back in love again? Is it possible to fall back in love again? In this video, I'm going to break this down for you using the recent interview that Jada and Will Smith did on the Red Table Talks, where they actually dive very vulnerably and deep into their relationship, their separation, their being done with the relationship, her relationship with another man, and how they fell back in love together. From the perspective of a relationship coach, there is so much gold that I want to make sure that you can pull out of this interview and bring into your own life and relationship. So let's do it. They said, we were at a hard time, I was done with you, I was done with the marriage, and that's basically when Jada started a relationship with another man. Now, here's what they say. They decided to separate to go figure themselves out. She needed to figure out what was going to make her happy. Will needed to figure out what was going to make him happy. So most of the time when people are not feeling in love anymore in their relationships or going through a hard time, it's because they individually are not happy. What I share with all my clients is that a relationship is threefold. It's you, it's your partner, and then it's the magic you create together. So when clients come into my office during my one-on-one sessions, we are tackling all three of those. And they said this so beautifully. Like, we were done, we needed space. We didn't know if we were gonna come back together in our marriage or in our relationship, but we needed space to go and make sure we were happy. So almost exclusively, if you are not happy in your relationship, if you're feeling not in love or questioning the relationship, check in with your own individual lives. Are you happy? What's going to make you happy? What is not working? And sometimes you need to be willing to take that separation. You need to be willing to give yourself that space to go and discover it. Because the reality is, two broken people, two unhappy people are never going to create a happy, fulfilling life and relationship together. So, they both said, we felt like we could be over. Will actually said, no, I was done. However, they've made their way back. So what do? Stay tuned. So this next thing that I loved about what happened in here is Jada wanted to come clean about this relationship that she had. She wanted to give the truth from her perspective on what happened. And so she said, I got into this entanglement with this man. And what I loved was that with so much love, Will was able to, and respect and just honesty, Will was able to say, like, an entanglement, you mean a relationship. Like, let's be clear, let's be specific. He really, held the space and spoke it out without being rude, without being disrespectful, without rehashing the past, without, the emotion of perhaps how this has hurt him. He didn't throw that back on her in the moment. He just said, let's be clear about what happened. And I thought that was so beautiful, because what I see in my office a lot is when we try to make corrections to what our partner's saying, or what went down, or what the situation was, or I find that we often don't have the tools or the skills. We haven't done our own healing around the topic, but we also can't support our partners to actually have productive conversations. And I was like, whoa, this conversation is going to be so good, because right away he was helping, even because this was vulnerable and uncomfortable for both of them, but even within that, having tools on how to communicate and how to have vulnerable conversations. I watched him just navigate that conversation and pull it into the details that public needed to hear, that Jada really wanted to hear, to be clear about the situation. And so when we learn skills about communication, when we get a coach, when we do therapy, when we do courses with our partner, which they explain that they have done, it is essential because we get these tools and ways to communicate that help us to direct conversations to where they need to go for the most healing and the biggest transformation for everyone involved. And this is one of the biggest issues that I see when couples are trying to fall back in love, when they're trying to rebuild their relationship, is they don't have the skills and they don't have the tools. So any past issues are often just getting like amplified and rehashed versus learned from and transferred or transformed through during their conversations. And so right away, and I'll link the interview in the description, of course, so that you can go watch it for yourself, but you can see the respect and the amount of therapy and coaching and tools that they have had and gone through to be able to have this conversation in the way that they did, that because this was a painful conversation that they were able to so beautifully bring. So tools and skills is a big part of that. One of the side notes that I really want to mention, so the part of the media, what was getting said was that maybe Will did give permission to Jada to have this relationship during their separation time. And they address that, and Jada says, the reality is that nobody had to give me permission. The only person that has to give me permission is Jada. And that is gold. Here's why it's gold. In relationships, we all of a sudden forget that we are individual people, and we all of a sudden become one. This is problematic, in my opinion. You don't need permission to be you. You don't need permission to follow your desires. You don't need permission to live your own life. You don't need permission to grow. You don't need permission to try new things. Your partner may or may not be on board with where you want to take your life, and that may cause you to go separate directions. Okay. But you don't need permission. So many couples create this dynamic where they're like giving each other permission to do things. And as soon as we get into that energy, it is extremely toxic. It can feel like we're trapped. We lose ourselves in relationships. We lose our individual self. And so this simple little line that she shared was that no one had to give Jada permission. Jada gives herself permission. Was gold, because this is actually that differentiator that I believe supported them in being able to come through this, is like finding themselves and understanding that they are individuals in charge of their own life, happiness, desires, and needs. And so if you notice that you asked for permission from your partner, or like if you're saying, oh, you're not allowed to do that, or he's not allowed to do that, you're not letting your partner do things that they want to do, this is a really big red flag, because all of a sudden you are constraining their growth and who they are as an individual. So there's a lot of subtleties in there, but I'll leave you with that. So Will asks Jada, he says, what were you looking for when you decided to go into this other relationship during our separation? What was it that you were looking for? And I want you to hear this, especially if there's ever been any infidelity, especially if you've ever had, other relationships inside of your relationship, the attraction to someone else, the desire to cheat, any of these things, or if you've had parents that cheat and that wound stays with you, I want you to hear this. He said, why did you do it? What were you looking for? And she said, I just wanted to feel good. She didn't remember the last time she felt good. Okay, so in our relationships, we need to feel good. And so if you're not feeling good in your relationship, it's going to be really hard to feel in love with your partner if you're not feeling good yourself. Also, when you get stuck in this dynamic in your relationship where you've been not feeling good together for such a long time, I think separations are incredible because it gives you this space to actually get back in charge of your own life, reconnect to yourself. And I think sometimes we just need to do something in our life that helps us to feel good. Is it the best move to sometimes have a relationship with someone else? They were separated. It still hurt him and impacted their relationship for sure, but they had chose to part ways. And whether it's cheating, whether it's an agreed upon thing, whether it's an open relationship, whether it's we just live in separate apartments for a while, one of the questions I get all the time is, can time apart bring us back together? Jada and Will show this and, show the possibility of this, but this is something that comes up a lot with my clients. And so I believe that it can. And the reason why is that when you're in such low energy, when you just don't feel good, when you're depressed, when you're not happy, space, time, another relationship, trying something new, being radical. You're not happy now, so try something new. Can give you a taste of feeling good, even if it's temporary, even if it's you learned something that was the wrong move, but feeling good is essential. And so she just wanted to feel good. And so this was the relationship, this was the avenue that she chose. Here is what she also went on to say. She also really enjoyed helping someone heal. So the man that she was in a relationship was having some personal struggle himself. And so she said she had her own codependence issues, that she sort of had that need to help and to fix. And so that was also sort of a pull into that relationship, to feel needed to help someone. So I want to dive a little bit deeper in this, because she says that she was able to confront and discover things about herself, both dark and beautiful. And she was able to learn so much and to confront her immaturities, her insecurities, and have deep personal healing in this relationship with another man. So, I believe that people come into our lives for a reason, and that we sometimes need to do things for our relationship that might look a little radical, that might look a little unnormal, but normal is a really high divorce rate. Let's just be clear about that. So what I see a lot is that couples come in and they want a change, but they are in such a state that it's not something simple that is going to make the change. Oftentimes, the couples who are in the more challenging relationships, and it's been going on for a really long time, they need something radical. They need something radical because they need to change their energy, they need to grow, they need to learn some things about themselves. And I have said this so many times that most couples who I believe could or have the potential to make it through to the other side won't do the radical thing that they know in their heart, that they've heard in their mind, that voice in their head, their gut instinct has been telling them they will not do it, and then therefore the relationship will not change accordingly. They will not learn what they need to learn, and the relationship will never come back to a place of love. You will never fall back in love with that partner. And not because it's not possible, but because you're not willing to do the uncomfortable thing, because you're worried what other people are going to think. You're worried what your family's going to think, what your kids are going to think. You're worried about how it's going to feel or look, even though there might be something inside of you that knows that something is right for you. So she shared that this relationship, that she doesn't regret this relationship, that this was transformative for her life, which means she was then able to take those tools and those skills and that awareness and transformation and bring it into her relationship with Will, such that they were able to fall back in love. Did you hear that? Because of this relationship, she was able to learn, grow, change, confront, heal in such a way that brought her back into her relationship. And from my perspective, that is one of the things that allowed them to heal and grow and fall back in love. Perhaps that wasn't essential for Will's journey. However, a relationship is two people, and sometimes someone in the relationship has growth, has learning, has desire, has curiosity that has to get unfolded and considered and looked at and explored to come back into a partnership. I'm going to dive more into that in a minute when it comes to unconditional love, because Will is amazing. So, but before I do, another thing that I really want to just make sure you heard when you go watch the full video is they say Oh. So Will appears to be emotional and to be vulnerable, maybe even still hurt. So the one thing that I just want to say is that I'm not saying that this process isn't painful and isn't difficult and isn't healing and beautiful. It's all of the things. Will actually says, this work is not for the faint of heart. I believe that long-term relationship is not for the faint of heart. Long-term, happy, ultimately fulfilling, two people reaching their potential type of long-term relationship, not settling in sacrifice and disappointment. So he says that it's not for the faint of heart, and you can see his visible emotion. You can see his visible vulnerability, even in his power. And so I just want to be clear that everything that I'm saying, I might be saying this with like a light tone, but it's deep and it's dark, and the amount of therapy, coaching, conversations, discomfort, tears are very, very real. But the magic and the beauty and the trust and the coming together and the recreating of a new love and a new relationship together from that is a type of intimacy and love that most people will never get to experience. So she was able to learn a lot about herself and her growth that I believe was necessary to come back into the relationship. So Will said, we came together young and broken. And that it has been amazing in their relationship to be able to make mistakes without fear of losing your family. I need to say that again, and I need you to hear that. They came together young and broken, and having a relationship dynamic that they were able to make mistakes without the fear of losing their family. Their depiction, their descriptions, their modeling of this unconditional love is so powerful and so beautiful. And I want you to recognize and realize that this happens all the time in all of our relationships. We come with some level of insecurity and immaturity and brokenness and lessons that we still need to learn. Each of you come that way into your relationship. And so then you form this relationship from that place that of course you are going to have conflict, and of course you're going to have issues. And so how you came to a relationship, if you're going to evolve as individuals, the relationship itself also has to evolve. And if you're going to heal things about yourself, the relationship has to heal because you created the dynamic that you're in with those patterns, if that makes sense. And so in order for their healing and their transformation, I believe that this separation was essential for them, was huge. I don't know Will's side of it in perspective. That wasn't dove into too deeply into the interview because right now Jada is getting all the shade for having another relationship and all that. So that's why the focus was on that in the particular interview. But guaranteed, Will's transformation was very prevalent as well. I'm not going to give words to that because they didn't speak to it. So that's another thing. We often assume in our relationship, we jump to stories about our partner's experience. And so here's what I want you to hear because you're probably watching this on your own. You're probably not watching this with your partner. In my experience, all we can do is listen deeply to your own inner wisdom. Listen deeply to your gut instinct, your feeling of what you need in your life. And I think that we need to trust that that person who's doing life with you and your partner came to you for a reason. They're with you for a reason. You guys have attracted each other for a reason, and you need to tap into what's right for you and not assume how it's going to change for them or what they need to learn from this, but you need to follow your own life, your own change, your own happiness, because that's how we fall back in love with our partner, is by being in love with ourselves first. And so I think we assume sometimes there might be a desire or a knowing, or I need space in my relationship, or I want to expand in this way, but I feel like I can't because of the relationship I'm in. I hear that a lot. I believe that you brought your partner, you've attracted each other for a reason. You need to follow you. You need to follow you and trust that you attracted this person for a reason. You can't dictate what they're going to learn from the experience, but you need to keep trusting yourself and that they will evolve as it is meant to. Maybe you'll come back together, maybe you won't, but you need to be willing to choose you. I sat down with clients the other day and they were in this exact conversation. And I said to him, when you are in a situation right now of choosing your partner or choosing yourself, he was unhappy, miserable, in fact, then, not being a really nice person, many different challenges. I shared with him that you need to choose you. I shared with her, you need to choose you. If you guys have any hope of ever choosing each other again, or anyone else for that matter in life, you need to choose you. And stop worrying about the impact on your partner or what their transformation is going to be, or what they're going to, how much something is going to hurt them that you need. You need to use respect. You need to use clear communication, not lying. Cheating is not the answer. Going and having another relationship is not the answer behind your partner's back. Lying is never the answer. Jada and Will also said, we've never had secrets. It's been painful, but we've never had secrets. Secrets make you suffer. And secrets really pull couples apart because secrets, lies, get tangled very quickly. So being clear and being honest with your partner about what you need and where you need to go in your life is really important, and your partner is either going to choose to meet you or to not. So coming back to what he said he wasn't sure that they were ever going to speak again after this relationship. It really did hurt him. He was very clear about that. And that's when he said, this work is not for the weak of heart. But you have to go through some shit to get some answers in your life. I love this. They talk about the power. He said, there's power in knowing that someone is riding with you no matter what. And this is the finale, okay? I'm about to wrap this up, and I want to share with you something that just got me so excited listening. So she had to do this. She had to do this for her growth. It didn't sound like it was preconceived in terms of like there was a relationship before the split. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But she had to have that relationship inside the container of her relationship history with Will. And we don't know his side of things. We don't know that he had to go through his transformation as well. But she said, I didn't know if you would be willing to find the deep capacity to love me. Within their first year of their relationship, Will told her that I can love you through anything. So Will has said this many times in different interviews, that he is fiercely committed and loyal, which is beautiful to witness in action, because he shared with her, I can love you through anything. But she said, I didn't totally know what that meant, and I didn't know if you would be willing to find the deep capacity to love me. So what I heard in that, what I took away from that, was that all that comes with being Jada, all that comes with being a powerful, beautiful, sensual, emotional, wild woman, everything that comes with being her, she was not sure if Will had the capacity to love her and all of her. And so many women are shutting down parts of themselves to make their partner happy because they don't know if their partner could love all of them. They don't know if they were their full, sensual, beautiful, wild, erotic, playful, happy, flirtatious self, if their partner would be able to love all that. We hide our emotions, we hide our sensuality, we hide so much of ourselves as women to our partners, to the people we deeply want to love us and to see us. And we crave these magical relationships and these intimate, raw, long-term, soul-stirring partnerships. Yet, we hide the parts of ourselves that actually make that possible. And so, not only did she not know if he had the capacity to love her, I believe that through this journey, she was also able to find more of herself and her expression of that, such that he could love all of her, if that makes sense. And he says, well, how am I doing? How am I doing with loving you? And you'll have to go watch the video to listen to more. They pound it and say, bad marriage for life, because the reality is, when we look at this textbook of how to do marriage, if you're following what your friends are doing, what your neighbors are doing, what your parents have done for a marriage, good luck trying to fall back in love again. Good luck being able to rekindle that relationship. Because it's not your path, it's not your journey, and you need to consider the 3 unique players in your relationship, you and your partner, and then your dynamic together. And not just where you started, but where you're going and who you want to become. Personally, to fall back in love again, to rekindle a relationship, you are going to have to do some radical things. You may need space, you may need separate apartments, you may need separate partners, you may need open relationships, you may need to live separately, you may need to travel the world, you may need to start new careers, you may need to give up a hobby, you may need to get a new one. Some hard thing, some radical thing, something that you've never seen couples do before is required of you right now or will be in the future for your relationship to sustain the long term. The divorce rate is excruciating and disheartening. I believe that yes, there's a time to leave, there's a time to walk away from a relationship. You need a partner who's willing to work with you. There's lots of factors, there's lots of nuances. If you want support going through those nuances, figuring them out in your life, in your relationship, book sessions with me, absolutely. Or join one of my courses. I'll post the links below to how to book private sessions individually with me as well as couple sessions. But at the end of the day, to sustain love long term, love changes. It comes a little bit and it goes, and you feel out of love when you're not feeling good. Like, it's not possible to hold those same frequencies in your body at the same time. And so sometimes our minds play tricks on our emotions. So don't be scared to take space. Don't be scared to separate. Don't be scared to let it be messy. And yes, these are private issues, but when you talk about them more, when you get help, when you share with your friends and your family, like what you're trying or what's really going on, it breaks the fucking stigma that our relationship should all look the same. And that if you're not doing this, then there's something wrong with your relationship or that you shouldn't be together. That's just not the reality. And I want to give you permission, if you need it, to create the relationship that you want. To not have secrets from your partner, but to share your full self and let them adapt. If you never share who you are and what you desire and things you're curious about and want to try in the bedroom, out of the bedroom, in your life, in your travel, with your kid, like, show up. Give your partner everything that is you, because when you give them everything that is you, they get the opportunity to grow and change and adapt and become the person they were meant to be through meeting you. If you like this video, please share it out with your friends, share it with your partners, and be sure to subscribe for more videos and advice and tips on relationships, sexuality, communication, intimacy, all those things. I'd love to have a session with you. If you're curious to dive deeper, I'll post the links in the comments below. Make it a great day.